Welcome, welcome, everyone. Welcome to the first call in our Immigrant Justice Summer series. I am so happy that you're here with us tonight. You could have been anywhere, but you're here with us, and we know we're lucky because of that. We're going to wait for more folks to join. In the meantime, I want to know about you. Tell me about you. Drop your name, where you're calling from, and your organization in the chat. Ooh, people from Columbus, Ohio. I see Columbus, Ohio in the house. Oregon. South Minneapolis. Wow. From all over the nation, I see people showing up. We're going to wait a few more minutes for folks to join. Welcome, welcome to the first call in our Immigrant Justice Summer series. We're so happy that you're here. Tell us about yourself in the chat. Drop where you're joining, where you're calling from, name of your organization. We want to know it. Lexington, Kentucky in the house. Yes. I don't know about y'all, but I love this song. It is on replay for me. Welcome, welcome, everyone who's just joined. We're waiting a couple more minutes. Okay, all right, let's get started. As I've shared, I'm so excited to have you all joining us today. My name is Hirsia, my pronouns are she, they, and I am the Associate Director of Immigrant Defense Organizing at Indivisible. Before we jump into tonight's content, I'm going to pass it to my colleague Taylor for some quick housekeeping, and then we'll jump into it.
Thanks so much, Hirsia. Welcome everyone to this first call. We're super excited you're here. So let's just review some quick Zoom best practices to make sure that we're having a great experience. So please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen for questions. There are a lot of people on this call tonight, so the chat is going to keep going. So to make sure we can actually see your questions and hopefully answer them, please put them in the Q&A box. As a reminder, this is a public call, so just be mindful about what you're putting in the chat. There will be a follow-up email sent with a recording and all of the materials, so don't worry if you can't write everything down or you miss something. You will get everything in your inbox tomorrow. And then, as always, just make sure that we are respecting one another, using emojis to show appreciation. We also know that not everyone likes emojis, so if you find them distracting in any way, you can turn them off by clicking that little arrow by the heart on your bottom of your screen and going into reaction intensity and setting that to hidden. You can also click on live captions or show captions at the bottom if you want to have some closed captions to help you follow along. We talked about the Q&A. That's also at the bottom of your screen. And I think most of you have done this already, but if you haven't, make sure to toggle your chat to go to everyone, not just hosts and panelists, and that makes sure that everyone can see what you're posting, not just us. All right, and then for our agenda tonight, we are going to start. Hirsia is going to ground us in why this moment demands a response from the Indivisible Network. And then she's going to walk us through this 3-step blueprint that this series is going to focus on. And then you are going to hear a bit from a few Indivisible group leaders who are already doing a ton of this work on the ground and who are going to be featured on the subsequent calls in this series. We'll hopefully have some time for Q&A, and then we'll get into next steps. So take it away, Hirsia.
Thanks, Taylor, for walking us through that. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Hirsia Martinez Rosas, and I stand in front of you today, oh, so lucky to say that I get to lead our immigrant justice organizing at Indivisible. I also stand in front of you today as the proud daughter of immigrants. That's what drove me into social justice work. At 16, I remember joining the mega immigration marches in 2006. These marches took over the nation. Up to 5 million people participated in over 200 cities. Cities like LA, New York, and Dallas, where I grew up. These mass demonstrations were a direct heck no to a bill introduced in Congress. That bill was going to criminalize undocumented immigrants and those who assisted them. That bill was going to criminalize my parents. That was an important moment for me as a 16-year-old young girl because I grew up with shame and fear. learning to hide my parents' immigration status out of a worry that I would be torn away from my parents and find myself alone. That fear consumed my childhood. But joining those marches at 16 was the first moment in my life where I heard people around me yell things like undocumented and unafraid, unashamed, and here to stay. It was an amazing moment for me to hear strangers say that. Joining those marches introduced me to the immigrant youth movement. That day, as I was rubbing shoulder to shoulders with strangers walking down the streets of downtown Dallas, I decided that I was going to be part of the solution so that little Mexican girls like me would never have to face that threat to their family. That led me to earn my PhD in sociology, where I got to learn about the system of mass detention. And through that work, I organized with amazing people, undocumented youth, farm workers in Florida, and I got to teach on college campuses. I tell you about myself so that you know that when I say that I believe that we're going to win, I mean it wholeheartedly with every single fiber of my being. And now that you've gotten to know me a bit, let's get into why we're here. Now, in this moment, the Trump administration is using immigrant communities as a testing ground for how far federal power can reach into a city before people stop it. And DHS is the agency carrying that out. And it's taking many forms. You've all seen it, raids in neighborhoods and workplaces, hold rooms in strip malls, new detention warehouses. They're opening up all over this country in places like Delaney Hall in New Jersey and Moshannon Valley in Pennsylvania. That violence and this fear lands hardest on Black and Brown immigrant communities. Black immigrants are overrepresented in deportations, and Mexican immigrants have historically borne the brunt of this violence. This enforcement machine, we must be clear, has always targeted them first. And if you feel despair, overwhelm, or even anger as you hear that, you are not alone. I often find myself feeling the same way too. But I'm here to remind us that together we are powerful. If we as Indivisible members build real relationships with the immigrant-led organizations who are already doing this work, and if we train people to respond fast, safely, and in alignment with that leadership, we build something durable. My dog Zizi is affirming that. We build a network of people just like you and me, everyday people that's a network that's ready to defend democracy every single time authoritarianism comes for us. Indivisible groups all over this country have thrown down, showing up outside of detention centers, standing alongside our neighbors. We're building the kind of multiracial, multi-ethnic coalition this moment demands. We are clear on our role in this pivotal moment. We, as a majority white organization, are committed partners. We're accountable to the immigrant-led organizations on the ground, and we use every resource, we pull every lever, we use every bit of privilege we have to absorb very real risk that others can't. We are strategic and effective together. And this administration knows it. They know this. That's why they are targeting protests. They're targeting civil society in Minneapolis and everywhere this fight has landed. And we will not be silenced into submission. Let me say that louder for the people in the back. We will not be silenced into submission. We will be disciplined and we're going to be grounded in purpose. We will not be frozen in fear. Every action that we take in this moment is nonviolent and lawful. When they call us criminals, you know what we're going to say? Our answer is going to be simple. We are exercising our rights as citizens who demand more of this country, and we're locking arms with our immigrant neighbors. Now, I want to hear from y'all. You see it in the poll. A poll's going to come up on your screen. We want to know, how have you seen this administration's deportation agenda show up in your community? Pick all that apply because it might be in many ways. Let's wait for your responses to come in. See people saying detention centers. I see people naming traffic stops that are happening. Traffic stops are often the way that people go into the detention and deportation pipeline. Wow. I see someone saying they're grabbing people off the street, sitting in Home Depot. That's right. Wow. As we're seeing in the chat and in this poll, that administration's deportation agenda is being carried out in so many ways. And here's how we take the first step towards preparing for when they come to your hometown. Really quickly, let's go on to the next slide. Oh, you know what? Before we do that, I see the poll. It seems like, yeah, the results are in. There are so many ways that this administration is coming on. I see ICE surges as a major thing. And there are also some people that are noting no surges, but a steady ICE presence. All right. And you know what? We're going to tell you what step to take, no matter the form that this takes. Can I have the next slide? Okay, so here are the three things that you can do today to get ready. First is you set a date for your gathering. We're going to ask you to gather 2 or 3 people. You're going to download a workbook, which you will use there to guide you through creating a rapid response plan. We have carefully crafted this workbook just for you. And if you're in a battleground state, we want you plugged into a network right now. So click the links in the chat to access the resources. And third, if you want to learn how to develop these resources to your community, maybe you're not seeing your state in this list, sign up for the rest of the series beginning with call number 2. I know that I breezed through that and the chat is lit, so maybe you missed the links. Don't worry, I got you. We'll return to this later. All right. So those are 3 quick ways to plug in tonight. But we want to present you the blueprint for how we build towards that vision. When I searches in a community, the most effective responses share 3 key elements. They share a coordination across a diverse coalition. Many different organizations are part of that coalition. The effective response also involves hyperlocal organizing and leadership from the people most directly impacted. And by hyperlocal, we don't mean just citywide groups or organizations. No, we also mean groups of neighbors organizing block by block. It means hyperlocal means you knock on your neighbor's door and you make a plan together. We will cover it briefly right here, but don't worry again, we're going to give you a deep dive into each step tonight. So there are 3 steps to get to that vision of a coordinated response. First is you get aligned. You follow the lead of the immigrant-led organizations already doing this work in your community. The second step is clear. When you show up to talk to these immigrant-led organizations, we're going to show up with a plan, not more questions. You're going to know your role and you'll know what to do before the moment to respond comes. And as a third element, you're going to grow the circle. We know that when violence hits, not only do we have an influx of harm, but we also have an influx of people ready to throw down and protect their neighbors. And we're going to build a group of neighbors ready to respond. We're going to serve to channel our energy towards organizations already leading on the ground. You might be wondering, that sounds nice, Hircia, but how exactly do we do that? Maybe you're hearing me say those 3 steps and you're thinking, oh, that's lofty. How do I do that? Don't worry. We're going to guide you there 1 step at a time. Here's how we're going to get there. We're going to have 4 national calls every other Thursday from today through August 20th. And then we're also going to have an interactive workshop on August 27th. And each call comes with the workbook chapter. If you haven't downloaded the workbook, download it now. Each chapter will give you some reading, a little bit of homework. Not gonna lie, there is gonna be a little bit of homework. Some work you'll do on your own, and some work you're gonna do with your group. This is not something that you're gonna do alone. At each call, please come because we're gonna be featuring group leaders from Alabama, Utah, Maryland. We're gonna have folks doing the work, telling us how to do it. They're going to walk us through how they've implemented each of these 3 steps into their organizing. We are bringing them on because we want you to hear from the very best. Now, at the end of the series, you're going to invite 2 or 3 people over. You're going to sit down with the workbook. Maybe you'll have some snacks. Maybe you'll have a nice cheese plate. If you're feeling excited, maybe a little bit of tea. And you're going to build a rough outline of a rapid response plan for your community. At that gathering, you may identify a training, supplies, or actions. You may get together and say, you know what? This is exactly how we get more prepared so that when when ICE comes to your community, you can mount a safe, coordinated response. So if that does happen to you, we want to help you fund that action. If you attend 3 of the 5 calls, submit your rapid response plan, and we'll reimburse 50 groups up to $1,650 to fund your action. We mean it when we say that we're ready to support you in whatever way you need to be ready, prepared for a safe community response to ICE. If you want to, as always, if you want to use an Indivisible funding program for mutual aid work, for example, please make sure to note the program guidelines for allowable spending. Groups will be eligible to apply August 4th, which is after our call number 3. It'll be a first come, first served basis. More information to come. But if in the meantime you have questions, we got you. Hit me up. We are at immigrantjustice@indivisible.org. And that's not all. We want you to feel seen and supported in this journey. We know that doing this work is heavy. It can sometimes feel isolating, and sometimes it could feel so complex and beyond what we can do. And I'm here to tell you that that's not true. Following along will be 3 amazing content creators, Gina, Kat, and Fabiola. Amazing folks, each new to immigrant defense organizing just like you. And I'll remind us, since this is a family affair, content creators will not be recording any content from our calls, no content from our chats, no content from our Q&As. We want you to know that so that you can feel safe to share your experiences during this class. But we also want the content creators to serve as a space for you to see some of these models in action. They're going to be recording their own experiences and applying the lessons from each session. Their content goes live on Wednesdays, so we're going to, following our calls, follow us on social media to be alerted when they post. Now, before we bring on our speakers, I want to know where you're starting from. Many of us are starting from, maybe you are joining us since you joined out through ICE Out for Good, or maybe you've been with us for a while and you're looking to level up your skills in immigrant defense organizing. We want to know where you're starting from. What has that response looked like in your hometown? Take the poll. We want to know. One option is you know that you're actively working with immigrant-led organizations. Maybe you've already have a plan and you know how you're going to show up in a rapid response scenario. If you maybe are already actively training people to grow your circle of volunteers. Maybe you're doing all of the above, or it's also okay if you haven't done any of this yet. I'm going to wait for us to fill in the poll and wait for the responses. I see in the chat, though, that folks are doing a lot. Folks are attending protests. There are some people that are saying, I don't know. I don't know that there's any groups in my area. That's okay. In this training session, we're going to teach you how to find groups in your area. I'm hearing that Take Action SWVA is very active and they're getting their immigration team organized. Good job. Protests, I see folks naming protests. All right, the results are in. I love that there's different levels of work that we're showing up with. Many of you, wow, many of you are new to this and haven't done any of this yet, and that's okay. That's actually really exciting because we get to start from scratch together. Wow, I love that. Okay, now we've been talking about this blueprint. I gave you a little teaser at the top. Now I'm going to call in our group leaders, but before I do, I'm going to tell you about the first step about get aligned. What do we mean? Let's get into it. The first and most pivotal step towards being prepared for a safe community response relates to locking arms with those directly impacted. Getting aligned means knowing who the immigrant-led organizations in your community are. Getting aligned means you understand their plan and that you're plugged into the infrastructure they are already leading. Too often, our responses to ICE enforcement come from a good place, but sometimes they're disconnected from the very communities they're meant to protect. So being immigrant aligned for us means navigating multiracial, multi-ethnic coalition spaces. And for a majority white movement like Indivisible, that reality has direct implications for how we show up and how we should show up. On call two, we'll have a conversation around navigating multiracial coalition spaces as partners who are accountable even when the going gets tough. And we'll teach you community ecosystem mapping, one of my favorite tools. It's a hands-on tool where you and your group build an actual map of who's organizing near you. It allows you to take a deep breath and see what's happening in your backyard. You'll learn what organizations are doing and how they're connected to each other. That map is gold because it turns your group's energy into something that strengthens the response when ICE comes to our community. Now, I'm going to bring in my friend Sarah from Salt Lake City, Indivisible, to tell us what that looks like in practice. Sarah, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. Thank you, Hercia, for getting us started tonight and for all the work you've done in preparation. I'm one of the co-leaders of Salt Lake Indivisible, and we were organized in 2017, so we've been around for a while. We are over 3,000 members strong, and our mission is to promote and strengthen democracy. We're a nonpartisan group, and we work really hard to have the efforts of our group reflect this. I want to tell you just a little bit about Salt Lake City. It is a very blue dot in a very red state. We have a governor that is welcoming both a 10,000 person detention center warehouse at this point to our capital city. And he's also welcoming the world's largest data center to the shores of our struggling Great Salt Lake. Fortunately, both our city and our county mayor are opposed to the detention center, and they're one of the cities that have filed lawsuits in opposition to the center. So we have local leaders that are on our side, but we often have state leaders making decisions and policies that are designed to punish our city for being inclusive and being liberal. I want to share a story about our response to our governor welcoming this mega detention center for the capital city. Salt Lake Indivisible was one of the groups that helped to circumvent a warehouse sale back in January. We used kind of a name and shame tactic. And when we received word in March that DHS had purchased another warehouse, we had a minute of being shocked, and then we quickly assembled to plan a response. We decided to do a power lunch protest with the theme "Driving the Snakes Out of Utah." This was held on St. Patrick's Day, and we held it at the governor's mansion. We made snake hand puppets, and we had lots of great signs and included our singing resistance friends. Utah also has a history of holding immigrants unlawfully. We were home to Topaz, which was one of the largest Japanese internment camps during World War II. So we invited one of the leaders of the Japanese American group to speak. Within 48 hours notice, we had hundreds of folks that attended this event. It was in our governor's mansions right in the middle of the city, and we had a lot of press there. I wish I could end this story with "we changed our governor's mind," but that's not what's happened. What we did do was we held an event that hundreds of people saw and participated in. We made it hard for citizens to look away, and we let our immigrant community know that we stand with them. Currently, there are rumors that this warehouse will soon be for sale, but that has not yet been confirmed. And in the meantime, ICE continues to detain people. And so we have to continue to do all that we can to help our leaders find their souls at this moment. We often call ourselves the soul force. On July 23rd, in our training call, I want to share another story with you of how Salt Lake Indivisible, the ACLU, and Comunidades Unidas came together to promote an ICE out of Utah business campaign. how we recruited community members to attend in-person trainings where they got tools and support so that they could mobilize and build relationships with local businesses, asking them to join and become ice-free zones. These zones effectively help turn businesses into visibly safe spaces for immigrants and a training space for Know Your Rights. I want to convey to you how much we grow when we work with groups that have a different focus, and how that diversity creates energy and solutions that are bigger than a single group. And I want you to be inspired to make real connections with your larger community. I can't wait for all of us to dig into this together. So I'll see you in our next training.
Beautiful, Sarah. Thank you for telling us how it's done in Utah. I know you were speaking, so you didn't see people hyping you up in the chat, but people were sending you power and energy for all of the work that you're leading. When we contact and start collaborating with immigrant-led organizations in our community, that's not the only step we're taking. We're also going to show up with a plan to partner. And this plan should be built around our specific strengths. When iSearch hits, it's those first 48 hours that matter the most. If that's the moment where you're trying to figure out your plan or make these connections, your response stalls right when we can't afford to. So, a rapid response has two tracks, frontline response and mutual aid, where the frontline response is focused on accountability. Mutual aid is focused on community care. Both of those things need to move together. And it's vital right now on July 9th, that we invest time in exploring which track fits your group. Maybe you might find that you prefer doing mutual aid over rapid response, or maybe you might find, you know what, we're equipped to do both things. Right now is the time to assign roles to people and build the communication infrastructure to activate all of it fast. On call 3, we're going to walk you through the two tracks of a rapid response, and we're going to take a deep dive into the Minneapolis response. We want to be very clear that Black organizers had spent years after George Floyd's murder building the practice of coordinated community response to state violence. The Twin Cities is also home to the largest Somali and Hmong populations in the world, and a Latinx community with roots going back to the 1880s. I walk us through that to share that these communities had spent decades building civic infrastructure, networks, and organizations so that when Metro Surge hit, that foundation is what the community stood on. That plan was what the community stood on. So when you join us on call 3, we're going to explore it as an example of a strong, coordinated response. So please register. Next, I'm going to bring on my friend Kaylee Ray from Indivisible, Baldwin County in Alabama to tell us more about what this looks like in their backyard. Kaylee, take it away.
Hi, I am Kaylee Ray with Indivisible Baldwin County, and I want to talk a little bit about the purpose of our group. So the purpose of our group is to show that everyone in Alabama is not for this far-right fascist administration that is currently occupying the White House. We are smart here. And we're definitely not okay or want a mad, narcissistic orange king. We also want our immigrant neighbors to know that we are standing for them and we are committed to helping them and fighting for them. They actually send their gratitude to us when they see us on the streets that we inspired them. They are so thankful that we are standing there, and it actually inspired them to be bold and come stand with us. One of my absolute favorite protests is when they stood shoulder to shoulder with us as we did an anti-ICE protest. Our legislators here in Alabama are very much not on our side. They're working against us and working in the interest of Trump. We have politicians who basically fight over who is more loyal to Trump. We have Tommy Tuberville, I call him Tommy Tupperware, running for governor of Alabama, who is incredibly and disgustingly loyal to Trump. And don't get me started on Barrymore. We also have a sheriff who brags about how many people ICE has detained here. Since last year, ICE has hit up Baldwin County in devastating ways. Our county has the most detainments of any other county in Alabama. That is crazy. We have a monthly average of 250 people being taken. 250 a month. And this has been since last year. So it has consistently been a ton of people each week and each month. But living here, you might not know it because they do it in the background. They do it behind the scenes. At our Workers Over Billionaires protest, our third ever protest is Indivisible, Baldwin County, we decided to ask for donations for our immigrant neighbors. And the people showed up in a really big way. They brought tons of food, baby formula, diapers, and more. And from that moment on, we realized that was the heart of our group. It was mutual aid. This was the beginning of what is now a mutual aid effort that provides for an average of 50 families and around 120 kids. We strive for our mutual aid, known as IFAN, to be a coalition based on solidarity, not charity. IFAN stands for Immigrant Family Action Network. So what we provide is mutual aid, rapid response, and advocacy. We support families in Baldwin County that are facing impacts of detention and deportation. We are currently supporting around, like I said, 50 families, 120 kids. So that's a lot of work. I'm so proud of our incredible, generous group of members who have stepped up to help during this time. I am just one face representing a huge group of people who are on the ground doing the work and loving our neighbors. On call 3 on August 6th, I will be sharing more details about our mutual aid coalition, the strategies of our rapid response around helping our immigrant neighbors. I hope to see you there, and I hope you invite some friends.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Kaylee, for walking us through and showing us what's possible in Alabama and in our hometowns. Um, Now that let's say that you've gone through the first step, you've like connected with an immigrant-led organization, maybe you already have sketched out a plan. Um, Maybe you're ready, but not yet. Our other role in this moment is to grow the circle. When an ICE search hits, community support floods in from every direction. We live in a country where people want to support and help in these moments of crisis. But without anyone to direct it, that energy tends to scatter and it doesn't end up reaching people on the ground. We know that as an organization, we carry weight when we enter coalition spaces and we carry a megaphone. I say that to remind us of our power. So dust your shoulders off. Good job. Good job. And I also say that so that it's clear what our role can be given those strengths. Growing the circle means building a funnel. It means literally being a funnel of routing new people, routing information and resources towards the hyper local groups and organizations. That means that we're going to train new people to show up, and we're also going to build an infrastructure to keep training more and more. On call 4, we'll teach you that funnel model, so register for that call. We're going to talk about how to build a volunteer pipeline with the 2 lanes that we mentioned. One for people who are ready to give support from anywhere, and then one for people ready to get trained on the ground in that moment. In Minneapolis, this is exactly what Indivisible groups were able to step up to do. Trainings filled instantly, legal observer trainings filled instantly, and organizations on the ground couldn't keep up with the demand. Our people, Indivisible folks, became trainers themselves. They kept that pipeline moving and the circle growing, often opening up their own living rooms to hold these trainings. I tell you that so that we know what's possible. I'm going to bring in my friend Laura, a core leader of Washington County Indivisible in Maryland, to tell us about their experiences of growing the circle of people in Maryland. Laura, tell us more.
Thanks so much. I'm so excited to be here. I am Laura. I am a core leader with Washington County Indivisible here in Maryland. I'm also an immigrant who just became a citizen last year. I feel called to this work because it's in my blood. I grew up in South Africa in the 80s and 90s, and some of the things that I saw there definitely led me to feel the need to stand with my neighbors and stand up for my neighbors wherever I am in the world. So, here in Maryland, some context about where we're working. Maryland is a blue state, yes, but Western Maryland, where I am, is a red rural area. We are a red dot in a blue state. And in December, we found out that a massive 825,000 square foot warehouse in our county had been purchased by DHS with plans to convert it into a giant ICE detention center that will hold up to 1,500 people at a time. So we're lucky that at the state level, we have leaders who are aligned and helpful and who also, like us, do not want this warehouse to happen. However, in our county, at the county level, we are led by a group of older, white, rich, conservative men who are not here to represent us, and they've made that very clear by not allowing us to make public comment at their meetings for over a year. In fact, when they found out that DHS was planning this warehouse, they decided to sign a resolution expressing their unwavering support for ICE and rolled out the red carpet for DHS to do whatever they would like in our county. Apparently, though, DHS and the county commissioners were not ready for us because ever since then, we have been showing up at every single one of their meetings, inside and outside, making sure that they can hear us even if they don't want to. And we're going to keep doing that for as long as it takes. We've employed a lot of other tactics as well that have ultimately led to the warehouse being paused indefinitely by a federal judge, but our fight is far from over. So how did we start organizing here around this issue? Here in Washington County, we're really lucky in the sense that we had spent the larger part of last year before the warehouse came about building partnerships and building relationships with immigrant activist organizations in our community. Organizations like CASA and Immigrant Rights Collective. So we were already ready to mobilize together when this happened, which was great. So if you haven't already started to connect with those groups in your area, you should start now. It's never too late, and it's definitely never too early. Two other things that we did when we found out about the warehouse that I think made a really big difference in organizing was first, we hit the streets immediately. We did not wait for lots of people to join us. We didn't wait to find out more. We went to the public square within 24 to 48 hours, and we had 200 people there. We had media. It was cold. It was dark. It was rush hour in the middle of winter, but it showed that people cared. It was high visibility, and it helped build more trust within the immigrant community. It helped show people where to look when they needed resources, when they wanted a group to join, when they needed to take action. And that's how we started to grow our circle. The second thing that we did was we spread awareness really quickly by holding a public forum at our library downtown. We did that there because it's a nice, safe third space that people can easily access, and it's free. So we invited experts and local organizers to come and answer people's questions about the warehouse and shared any information we had at the time. We also live streamed the event to make it accessible for people who couldn't attend, and also added a page on our website that kept people updated on every single thing about the ICE Detention Center that we have kept updated all the way until now, actually. So if you want to check that out, it's at wcindivisible.com. So that's a lot to say. This fight is multifaceted. When you start organizing, you will realize quickly that you have to do all these different things at the same time. You're going to have to protest. You're going to have to gather info. You're going to have to network. You're going to have to build partnerships, mutual aid planning, ICE Watch training, research, social gatherings. All this stuff is going to happen at the same time. But that's okay. You need lots of people with lots of talents, lots of resources, and you will find them and they will find you. Be visible. If you are an Indivisible leader, make sure you're visible so people can find you and you can connect them with those groups. That's how you find each other. And in that initial surge of people that show up, you will find your core leaders. So don't be afraid to put out the call. People will answer it. The work is hard, but the community is with us. Most of the people that are in our front-facing work, the rapid responders, the legal observers, the protesters, the safety marshals, are all American citizens who feel compelled to take these risks because they believe in justice and due process and equality and humanity. And they know our immigrant friends don't feel safe being in the streets with us right now. So we do need to do that work on their behalf. So I do want to tell you so much more about this, but I can't do it all tonight. So I'll share more with you on call 3 on August 6th at 8 p.m. If you would love to register, I would love to tell you more about it. So hope to see you there.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Laura. Give it up for Laura. So tonight you heard from Sarah about getting aligned with organizations already doing this work. You learned that you can bring in some joy into the work through sock puppets. You learned that we could also coordinate with other organizations who have experience in this, like their collaboration with folks that had fought through the Japanese internment camps. You also heard from Kaylee about what it looks like to show up with an actual plan, and from Lara about growing the circle so it holds steady. Now, I want to hear, like you just heard a lot of great ideas. What step are you most excited to dig into? I want to know. Tell us in the chat, how have you done this work? I'm gonna try to keep up with y'all because y'all are sharing so many things. Okay, folks are excited to make the rapid response plan. Yeah. And also I see someone really excited about ecosystem mapping. I'm so excited that you're excited about it. Join us for call number 2 that's happening not this week, but next week. Okay, folks are excited about coordinating with local immigrant groups. Mutual aid seems to be something that we're really passionate about. Thank you for sharing in the chat about what you're ready to do, the type of response that you're ready to mount. We're so lucky to have each other in this moment. Let's see more people. I see the hearts, keep them coming. Okay, wonderful. Okay, let's keep on going. Now, we have some time for question and answer sessions. That's right. So if you see a question that you like, give it a thumbs up. That's how we know which one we're going to answer first. If you don't see a question that you have, but you are really burning to ask it, please drop it in the chat. Other people will probably have the same question and we'll give it an upvote and we'll tackle them for a bit. So one of the questions that I see as young people in America who don't have experience in fighting corruption and are tired of what the world is today. Ooh, I hear that. I hear that. The question is, what can we do and where do we start? First, I wanna say and affirm the weight of this moment that it has on us. It's a really important moment for us as a step 1 to find each other, to find other young people around you, or even folks, elders who have seen this happen before and connect with them on a personal level. It's important that we take care of each other and ourselves in this moment. But after you do that, then it's time to get to work. And as we shared at the top, the first step that you can take is learning about other immigrant leaders in your backyard that are leading this work. Maybe that might not be like outwardly publicly available. Like maybe you might not be able to find it through a Google. That's okay. Some folks are having to do underground work. Another way to find people is going to progressive businesses, like businesses that frame themselves as progressives, or as Laura mentioned, the library. Those places typically tend to have community bulletin boards where you can find people that are doing this fight. So that's a step 1. You get connected with people. And a step 2 is you figure out how to make a plan. You're going to download the workbook that we're sharing today. And that's where you can find your start, by joining with other people who are committed, who are just as committed as you are to mounting a safe and hyperlocal response. Another question that I see in the chat, can we consider a close alliance to ACLU to be able to provide contact information to those in need during detainment or arrest? Oof, that's a really amazing question. During detainment and arrest, it's really vital that we connect people to legal resources. And yeah, we have an amazing alliance between Indivisible and ACLU. If you click in the link trees that we dropped earlier, you're going to see some resources that have come out of that relationship, some resources on Know Your Rights during protests, not only for Know Your Rights for immigrants to know their rights, but also for us as allies showing up. There are some resources that we've developed together. The other thing is, yeah, we can create a closer alliance to ACLU. And I would also encourage you to maybe take stock of who is in, like, who are your neighbors? Maybe in asking this question, you might find that you actually know some lawyers. Maybe those lawyers are connected to other lawyers in the community who are passionate about this and are just looking to be invited into this fight. So we can look to national organizations, but we can also look in our backyard, start asking questions, start assessing where our strengths are. Maybe you might find that that is a gap, and you can create those relationships so that we can create those legal resources right when they're necessary. Okay, I'm gonna take on a couple more questions. Oh, I see Stephanie is asking, can we talk about efforts to prevent the building of detention centers, specifically in Hagerstown, Maryland? Oh yeah, let's talk about it. First, I'm gonna guide y'all to our April 14th call that we had earlier this year, a partnership with Detention Watch Network. They have developed this comprehensive toolkit that lets you identify where your detention center is in the face of growth. And they walk us through specific targeted interventions that you can take. You can find that on the Dismantling Detention website. It's the same link that you use to download the workbook. Just scroll down and you're going to be able to find that resource. That's a great place to start. The other thing is, yeah, we actually have Laura from here who's actually leading the work with Hagerstown Rapid Response. So if you want to connect with Laura or with folks, please find them on Instagram. That's a first step. But yes, I'll point you to the April 14th training call. We have the recording and we have the toolkit that we developed with Detention Watch Network. That's a great first step. Let me see. We might have some more time. Another big question that I'm hearing is, I would like to know, Rosario says, I would like to know ways to organize without using social media platforms that promote immigrant attacks. That's a really, really interesting question. There are so many ways that you can organize without using social media platforms. In this moment, we do recognize that during a rapid response scenario, folks tend to go to Instagram, to Facebook, to TikTok, to all these other social media apps. And you're right, they often promote immigrant attacks, but I want to acknowledge that. Another way that we can organize is through one-on-one conversations with people. We don't got to use social media to build our circle. We can go old school, tried and true approaches, which is having one-on-one conversations with people about why this moment matters to you, and having that be the first point of contact for people, asking them to join you. Because once you have someone else in your backyard saying, you know what, I'm going to go with you to that rally, that's when you start building, that's when you start organizing. So I'll say that. I will say that social media does seem to be an interesting and useful resource. And we're going to talk about that in call number 3, where we talk about what it's like to build a funnel of information and resources where social media works as a front door. I think that we have more time for a couple more questions. So I'm going to go down the list. Again, if you see a question that you love, that you're excited about, please give it a thumbs up. If not, write the question in because we want to get to as many of these as possible. The next question that we want to address is, I hope this group, Jonathan says, I hope this group teaches people the legal process to start dismantling the surveillance state. Yeah, and so Jonathan lists other things like flock safety and Axon. You know what? The way that we win is by tackling our responses from many different ways. Some folks are organizing around detention centers. Maybe some folks are organizing around flights. There are some folks, a lot of us that are really excited about these flock safety cameras. There are so many ways that we can approach this fight. And our role right now, especially at the ground level, is to figure out what campaigns people are running. Are those campaigns that we want to join? So thank you, Jonathan, for naming this. I'm going down the list again. Okay. Keep the questions coming. Okay, I see someone, Susan, who's saying, I have a friend facing a court date for decision on his application in Hartford. Susan, you said that you've hired an attorney and you hope that to accompany him. And you're asking, what can we do to help? Should we go with an army of friends? Is there anything that we can actually do to help? Susan, I love that you're asking this question. I think the fact that your friend is on top of mind and it seems like you've hired attorneys, that's a great first step. And the question about what can we do to help? Should we go with an army of friends? In those moments, especially in accompaniment moments, when people are going to their court dates, it is important to have someone have their back. And you can plug into a training in your own community on how to do this type of work and show up in accompaniment to people and how to do that safely. Because you are right, we are, as we shared at the top of the call, our role in this moment, especially as a white majority movement, is to absorb risk where possible, where other people can't. And so you're naming, Susan, the thing that your question has the answer in it. You do get organized with your neighbors and you do go and support. And before you do that, you get trained up so that you can know how to do that safely and well. All right. Another question, Pamela. Great music. Who was it? I don't know. I believe it's Chris Matthews' band, Forged by Fire. I love it too. Thank you for asking that question. You can find them on YouTube. Another last question. Is there a central place to learn about where ICE is currently active? Well, there's not a national network to learn about that. But you know what's been really powerful? It's folks creating signal channels, signal chats, getting trained up on how to be a constitutional observer, creating places to share this information so that we can route information and resources to the places where they're at. So no, I'll tell you, there's no central place to learn, but we build it. We build the systems to protect us, and a great place for you to start is to get plugged into a rapid response hotline where that information tends to be shared. And if there's not one, we want to teach you how to do that. If you can come to our fourth call where we're going to talk about Signal, we're going to talk about a workshop on how to do that. We can build our own systems to understand what's happening in our backyard. All right. Thank you for the questions. Before we end tonight, let's get a little deeper on what's next for us. I want to remind us, first, we're going to set a date for our gathering tonight. You put it on your calendar, pull out your phone, set a gathering where you're going to invite 2 to 3 people over to map out a plan. You're going to download the workbook, which you'll use there, and you're going to print it out if you want. You can fill it out as a PDF or you can print it out and use a notebook. Second, if you are in a battleground state, my people, please, we want you plugged into networks right now. We want you to click the links in the chat to access resources. And if you want to learn about how to develop those resources for your community, again, maybe you're seeing these amazing link trees, amazing resources, and you're feeling a little left out. Yeah, that does suck. But you know what? We can build those resources together and you can join us. Join us in the next couple of trainings so that you can learn how to do that and develop those networks for your own state. You can sign up for the rest of the series. If you want to learn how to do that, you can sign up for the rest of the series beginning with call number 2 happening not next week, but the week after that. All right. So before we close, I have a few more things. I'll say that this call didn't happen by accident. There's a whole team of people behind it. The designers who built every graphic and slide you saw tonight, the digital team who got the word out so you'd be here, so that you would know to be here. I know some of you got texts telling you to come. That took lots of expertise of people that were so excited to get you in the room. We want to thank the digital team who got the word out. We want to thank the people who wrote and built this workbook chapter by chapter just for you. This is a resource that we created with you in mind. And we want to thank people for doing that. The folks who set up the very room that we're meeting in, like Taylor, we are so grateful for. I'm honestly very grateful to be part of an amazing, amazing team. And to you, our Indivisibles watching, thank you for staying with us tonight. Thank you for showing up. We know that this is a heavy moment where we see it in the headlines every single day. You open up your Instagram and there's constantly a bombardment of more violence and more harm happening to our immigrant communities. And in this moment, it might feel easy. It might feel safer, in fact, to close the app, to disconnect. But you didn't do that. Today, you showed up, you decided that you were going to open up your phone and that you were going to join in, even though right now it feels so heavy. And so I share that to say that I'm so thankful that you showed up tonight and that you've stayed with us this long. Showing up in your community, even when so much feels uncertain, is such a brave step. And I'll say it again, that because of that, I believe that we will win. And I see you for taking this step. Next, I want you to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, on YouTube, on Blue Sky. Go to our website and find all the links to join our socials, not only so that you can learn about what we're doing in all parts of the nation to lead this fight, but you can also find our classmates there. Gina, Francis, Kat, they are going to hold us down throughout the whole series. They will have videos posted after each call so that you can have a place to go talk to someone who came here too and who tried the things that we are showing you. Hit them up in the chat section, in the comment section. Again, we're going to meet here again Thursday. So put it in your calendar on Thursday. We're going to meet here July 23rd at 8 p.m. EST. We want you to, after you hang up today, call a friend, tell them about what it felt like to show up with people right now. Tell them to join you, send them the link. Please come back and bring a friend. Thank you so much for showing up today. We'll see you soon.